Our first discussion this week is on distributing products, and it's discussion 15. What we're going to look at are marketing intermediaries and what they are. They're kind of organizations that exist in moving goods and services from business to business or from business to consumer. Think wholesalers, think delivery people, think of everything that goes in the middle between you and that product, and that is a marketing intermediary. And that involves channels of distribution, which are kind of interesting. If you trace a hamburger from McDonald's, it has many channels of distribution, from the bun to the meat to the ketchup to the pickle. Each one of those has its own channel of distribution, and that's what marketing intermediaries kind of direct and control. Usually there's been a concentrated effort, I guess I would say, to try to make our channels more sustainable, which means more green without the smog you can see here. They're pushing partners to come up with a distribution plan that minimizes pollution and optimizes profit. Walmart is very big on this right now. They want to have absolutely no waste in their distribution stream. So that's a big thing right now that they're looking for. So here are the types of intermediaries. You don't want to try to say that too many times very fast. You can have agents and brokers who bring the buyers and sellers together. You can have a wholesaler who sells a product at wholesale to retailers without the markup that the consumer gets. Or you can have a retailer, because that's the intermediary between you and the product. So those are some of the intermediaries. And here are channels of distribution. And if you think about this in your store, which one would you fall to? You're not a nonprofit. You're probably going to be in this area right here for some of it, for the coffee, and this for your books through here. I would imagine you may not need a wholesaler for your books, and then some of them may or may not. But each of these are what they call channels of distribution. Why do we need these? Because it makes things more efficient. If you look at this, okay, this is without somebody in the middle helping. This is with a wholesaler. See how much cleaner that is? Less traffic, easier distribution. So we need people to help us interact in between the manufacturer and ourselves as business people. Three key facts here are that you can eliminate the intermediary, as we well know. You can go direct to a wholesale and buy your clothes, whatever, but you can't eliminate their activities. They perform usually functions that are faster and cheaper than other organizations can do it. They've got it down to a science. But they do add cost to the product. So a lot of times if you want to find a product to sell that could have less cost to it, you may want to try to eliminate the intermediary in the situation. Sometimes it's not worth the hassle. So if I look at $1 of food, and this is the distribution of where all the money goes. You see a lot of it goes to labor. There's a farmer is involved, but it's interesting that the retail stores and the truck drivers and everything get more. If this kind of breaks down, you could probably use this as you look at your business as far as costing goes. You might want to keep track of this because you will have come up with a good product price. What intermediaries do is they create utility, and there are 6 forms of it. They do a form, they do time, they do place, possession, information, and service. Now let's look at each one of those. A form utility is changes the raw material into a product, okay? So your producers provide that. Like Starbucks makes coffee the way customers want it, or like you will make coffee the way your customers want it. Makes it a time utility. An intermediary would look at it. They're open 24 hours. They make the product available when the customer wants it. Place, okay, that's kind of obvious. You want to be in a convenient location, which for your market, which with your little business you would be. Possession, you're going to transfer, obviously, coffee to customer or book to book. You want to provide that exchange is what you're looking for. You provide an outlet. You provide with information, right? And you have service because you're going to provide a service that will help your students and mainly find textbooks. So that's a big service for them. That's a service utility. You have wholesalers, and wholesalers can be business to business. Or they can be retail, okay? So you've got retail sales or sales of goods and services to customers for own use. Wholesales are sales of goods to other businesses. Now, there's a chance that you could be somewhat of a wholesaler if you begin to maybe rent out space for people to come in and have meetings, or maybe you were to cater out or to sell to a company at cost or just above cost to provide coffee for their facility. So there are two types, and now let's look at the wholesale intermediaries. You have a full service wholesaler, and they provide all of it, and then you have a limited function wholesaler that does only selected distribution functions. Here's a limited, I love this name, Rack Jobbers. They furnish specific items to a shop or to a business that only involves one very small area. You may have book publishers from several areas that will come in and stock their own shelves for you. That would be a rack jobber. You've got cash and carry wholesalers where you're going to maybe even go to their warehouse and buy and bring. I guess a good, maybe somewhat example of a cash and carry wholesaler would be Sam's Club or Gordon's Food Supply, GFC. And then you have drop shippers that take the orders from retailers and will drop them to your customer. A lot of Amazon is a drop shipper. Retailing in the U.S., which is what you're going to be, is approximately 2.3 million retailers. That's a lot, not including websites. And they employ over 11 million people, so they're very big. We're a consumer industry. And this one is temporary outlets that remain open for a small amount of time. I've never seen a Toys R Us, but I have seen the fireworks that we have, or the party time stores that pop up here and there and are only open for a little bit. That's what we have experience with. Here's your categories of the fastest growing retail: video games, sports and fitness, which we're well aware of, home, garden, and furniture. Event tickets I'm not sure of anymore. That is almost a luxury item. And, of course, consumer electronics. So, those are the fastest growing retailers. And types of retail stores: you've got department stores, discount stores, supermarkets, warehouse clubs, convenience stores, category killers, which are, specific, sort of like Staples and Toys R Us, outlet stores and specialty stores. There are many other kinds. I think you could probably put food in some of that retail area. And retail distribution strategies. Okay, you have all these retail stores. So how do they distribute their product? You have intensive distribution where you put it out as many places as possible, oversaturate the market. You have a very selective group where you try to somewhat select a preferred group, and then you have exclusive, which is the use of one retail outlet in a given area. So those are the three types that you will encounter. There are probably hybrids of all of those. We look at non-store retailing, and again, you're looking at Amazons, and you're looking at telemarketing, and they sell goods over the phone, or you've got the internet that you're working with, and then you have vending machines. It's sort of a way of distributing goods we hadn't thought about as retail, but it is. In Japan, they have vending machines for everything. Such a different culture and such a different way to buy things. We look at online stores if you're ever interested in that, and I think with your books, it's a possibility. You could go online with that. So you've got to have a convenient return policy. You've got to have good brands so that everybody knows what they're looking at, good user reviews, a good website, and alternative payment options. And by that I mean you can't take cash online. A lot of people won't give their credit card out online, so you need to use PayPal and other ways of gathering funds for your product. Forms of non-store retailing: there's direct selling, going home to home, or having little consumer parties in your house. And then you could have salesmen who go out and work as independent contractors, or direct marketing, where they call people up and ask them to buy things. Many different ways of selling things that you're looking at. You're going to use the retail sense. You may use some online, which is a thought. Therefore, systems for channel relationships, so you can have a corporate distribution, a contractual distribution, administered distribution system, and supply chains. So let's kind of look at each one of those. The corporate system is if it exists just for that organization. An example would be Goodyear, Ford, anything that is a brand name that distributes throughout its own area. You could have contractual distribution, and these would be franchises, where like McDonald's, it says here, is a franchise system. You have your own corporate area, but then you have people who have franchises that you also supply to. And you have administered distribution systems that exist when producers manage all the marketing function, like Kraft or Ralph Lauren. And you have supply chains, and all linked activities of various organizations must perform to move goods and services. Oh my goodness, is that a lot of words. A supply chain is basically where you get your items from, and it's not a set line. You may have a good supplier for coffee one week, and the next week their prices go sky high, so you're going to switch and go to another supply chain to get your coffee. You're not tied in. And a supply chain, it kind of shows you've got suppliers plant, you've got your manufacturers, you've got your wholesale, your retailers, and your consumers. All of this, when you consider all of it, becomes a supply chain. And this is from, seed to customer, so to speak. A little bit different. Global supply chains, you can kind of read through those, just kind of gives you an idea of what they have. Logistics is interesting because you'll hear a lot about logistics. There are a lot of people going into logistics, and that's the planning and implementing of controlling the physical flow of material and final goods. It means you direct the traffic. You may not even be in the supply chain itself, but you help determine, how the product gets there. A lot of logistics is used in the military. Getting things where they need to be. So there are two types. You have inbound, and then you have material handling, the applications of it. This is bringing it in. This is moving around the floor. This is getting it out of the company, and this is bringing it back in. Okay, you're managing the flow rather than the product itself. So it's an interesting job. This I just threw in here because it's kind of interesting how our transportation mode's different. So look at this. Ships is the lowest cost. It's the slowest one. It's the lowest dependability, but it has the highest flexibility because it goes everywhere. Frequency is the lowest, and the outreach is the lowest. So it's kind of interesting as you go through this. My donkeys are going crazy. This one is popular means of freight. You have trucks at like 69%, and ships at 66%, and air at under a 1%. So you've got places to store it, you know that. You have big distribution warehouses like the one over at Wolcott, that is for Standard Auto. So that's kind of the distribution points. And that kind of wraps up discussion 15. Alrighty, thank you.